Seriously, what is this? She can't even make a decent meal. The mother-in-law's voice echoes through the kitchen. Hey, that's out of line, I retort, but I know it's pointless. Talking back only invites more trouble. Don't you dare talk back to your mother-in-law, she snaps. Despite my husband defending his mother, I feel utterly alone in this. I used to think about ending this life, but now I've given up on those thoughts. I'm Alicia, 32, a nurse at a local hospital. Married for 5 years, Henry and I have been trying for a child, but it's not happening as we hoped. The night shifts at the hospital are taking their toll on me. I've been contemplating a change, maybe a less demanding job. A former colleague who quit to get married now works at a nearby clinic's reception. I can't help but envy her. When I first got married, I never considered quitting my job. Henry wanted me to focus on housework, but I was determined to keep working. I feared that if I left, I wouldn't be able to return. Now, with all my close colleagues on maternity or parental leave, I've had to pick up the slack and have risen to second in command. It's fulfilling to have hospital-wide responsibilities, but the ticking biological clock weighs heavily. Shouldn't we start thinking about kids? I once brought it up to Henry, but he dismissed it with a casual, sure, when the mood strikes. Henry and I are the same age. We met at a party when we were 25. He was a true gentleman, always well-groomed and charming. I fell for him immediately, and after a few dinners, we started dating. Everything seemed perfect until we married 2 years later. Now he's gained weight and rarely smiles. Our relationship feels more like a partnership than a marriage. We barely have time for meaningful conversations. I secretly think that having a child might be the only way out of this rut. Then there's the issue of my mother-in-law moving in without any prior agreement. It started about 3 months ago after my father-in-law passed away. Though she lived just a 5-minute drive away, her visits became increasingly frequent. One day, I came home exhausted to find her in our house. She'd made a copy of our key and essentially moved in. Later, I discovered her house had been sold, leaving no chance for her to move back. Mother-in-law, this apartment is for 2 people. We can't just have you move in, I said, trying to be diplomatic, but it was futile. How awful. You want to kick out an old lady? Dusty Bear told me you have an extra room, so I'm doing you a favor by living here. I'm your husband's mother, so just be respectful and deal with it. Her condescending tone makes things worse. Our relationship was never great, and living together has only intensified the tension. And Dusty Bear, really? It's strange hearing her call him that. Even more unsettling is when Henry calls her mama in my presence. I suspected he was a mama's boy when we dated, but witnessing it firsthand is overwhelming. I've heard that a man's treatment of his mother often reflects how he'll treat his wife. I used to find Henry's kindness towards his mom endearing, but now it seems like all his affection is directed at her, not me. I've tried to discuss the living situation with Henry multiple times, but it's getting us nowhere. Dustin, we never agreed to this. Can you please talk to your mom? She's been feeling lonely since Dad passed away. She lived close by anyway, so it's not a huge change, right? He always dismisses my concerns as if they don't matter. Living together is far more stressful than simply living nearby. I'd even be okay if she rented the apartment next door, but sharing our small 2-bedroom is unbearable. We have full-time jobs, so finances aren't the issue. It's just finding the time to look for a new place. How about we start looking for a new apartment on our next day off? We need more space. You're the one who wanted to save for when we have kids. Stop changing your mind. Besides, Mom is helping out around the house. Isn't that beneficial? You're fine with this because she's your mom. I wanted to scream, but it wouldn't change anything. We're at an impasse, whether it's about moving out or living together. Today, I came home to another set of demands from my mother-in-law. There's a Halloween tea party at Glenda's next Tuesday. Can you prepare some treats? Next week, my shifts don't allow me to go shopping. Could you buy the ingredients yourself? I declined, checking my work schedule. She has the time and resources, so why ask me? With a smirk, she replied, store-bought treats would be embarrassing. Homemade is the way to go to avoid duplicates. Oh, you mean the ingredients? What are you planning to make? I won't have time to shop. Before I could finish, she interrupted. You're so clueless. Obviously, you're the one who'll make them. You're so useless. Another verbal jab. I can't do it. I don't even have time to shop, let alone bake. Please handle it yourself. I tried to explain, but she wasn't interested. It's clear who should be handling this, a full-time nurse with a demanding job or a retiree with plenty of time. Still, she persisted. Pumpkin cupcakes are easy. Just make sure the packaging is Halloween-themed. If you cut into your sleep, you'll find the time. Forget, and you'll regret it. She left me with that ominous remark and retreated to one of the 2 bedrooms. Why is this my responsibility? I was already exhausted from work, and this conversation only drained me further. Doesn't she understand how crucial sleep is for someone in my line of work? I felt a twinge of relief imagining her showing up empty-handed, but I couldn't ignore her. Last time I didn't meet her demands, she spread rumors that I was cheating on my husband. Clearing that up with the neighbors was a nightmare. Tuesday arrived and I sacrificed 3 precious hours of sleep to bake pumpkin-flavored cupcakes. They looked adorable in their Halloween packaging. Surely my mother-in-law would be pleased. But when she saw them, she sneered. "What's this? You made these? Wow, you're talented at wasting ingredients and money." Ha! I thought I measured, but her disdainful words were unmistakably aimed at me and my cupcakes. "I followed your instructions exactly. What's wrong with them? And it's really unfair to criticize me after making me do this." Before I could finish, she revealed a bag wrapped in department store paper. It was clear she never intended to bring my treats. She just wanted to make me do the work. Rage surged within me. I felt like a fool for actually making them. I was done being her puppet. "What's in the bag, mother-in-law? You had me bake, and then you went shopping yourself? Why are you always so cruel?" Oh, did I say that? Just throw those trashy, uninspired cupcakes away. I couldn't take them to the neighborhood tea party now. I wanted to scream at her, but managed to hold back my frustration as I prepared for work. After barely 3 hours of sleep, I needed to find a way to change this living situation and avoid my mother-in-law altogether. Why was Dustin okay with me enduring this? Tears of frustration welled up in my eyes as I headed to work. 2 months have passed since that incident, and today is New Year's Eve. We've managed to avoid major arguments, but that doesn't mean I've accepted this living arrangement. I've kept conversations with my mother-in-law to a minimum to maintain my sanity. The hospital is exceptionally busy during the cold season. It might not seem like much compared to doctors, but with the surge in appointments for vaccinations, this is the busiest time of the year. We're overwhelmed, covering for the doctors, and barely keeping up. 5 years into our marriage, we didn't do anything special for Christmas. With my mother-in-law living with us, it was hard to find any holiday cheer. I had thought about taking a trip for New Year's, but Dustin wasn't interested. "Let's just relax at home during the long holiday." "Why don't we take a break too, Alicia?" Just then, my mother-in-law walked in with a bright expression. "It's New Year's Eve. Have you prepared a special breakfast? You wouldn't skip that, would you?" Both Dustin and I were caught off guard. We usually went to his parents' house to make a special breakfast together. When I asked a month ago if we were doing it at our place this year, my mother-in-law had said, "I'll make it myself this year. There's less to prepare since your father passed away." Looks like we were tricked again. Dustin, who should have been aware of this conversation, said, "Mama, we can relax this year." "Alicia, you better start cooking, or we'll have nothing to eat." What a mess. My mother-in-law had promised to make it, but do we even have the ingredients? Both of them played dumb. If only she would help. Of all times, she brings this up on New Year's Eve, when stores close early. I rushed to 3 different supermarkets. Even 24-hour stores were running low on supplies due to last-minute shoppers. Dustin and my mother-in-law were comfortably watching New Year's specials in the living room while I was stuck cooking. Dustin asked, "What about seafood dishes?" I checked the time. New Year's was just an hour away. With pots filled with meat and beans, takeout was my only option. "Sorry, I'm swamped. Can you grab some takeout?" "Seafood?" Dustin, who had no intention of going out, left reluctantly. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't bring anything back for me. And why seafood this year? We've never focused on it before. As expected, Dustin returned with seafood for just the 2 of them. Here I was, making sure there was food for us, while he set the table for the living room. He didn't even offer to help, knowing I was struggling to prepare everything on my own. Making a special breakfast takes time and effort, and I was exhausted from rushing. By dawn, I finally finished. The dishes looked good, and I hoped there would be no complaints. With that thought, I headed to the bedroom. Just 2 hours later, I collapsed into bed, only to be awakened by noise in the kitchen. My mother-in-law and Dustin, who had gotten a good night's sleep, were probably eager for their special breakfast. Then Dustin walked in with an unbelievable announcement. "We're going out. You're probably tired, Alicia, so you'll stay home, right? Or do you want to go out for brunch?" "What brunch?" My foggy brain struggled to process this. "Wait, you want to go out for brunch now? I made a special breakfast. We don't need to eat out, right?" "Well, yeah, but I'm annoyed," Dustin replied vaguely. I went to the kitchen and was horrified to see my mother-in-law about to throw away the food I had stayed up all night making. "Hey, what are you doing? This trash is inedible." "Huh? I thought I'd do you a favor and throw it away. Starting the new year with this? No way." I managed to grab the food from her, but some vegetables fell to the floor in the process. Why is this happening to me? As I picked up the fallen vegetables, tears started rolling down my cheeks. Dustin, seeing this, put on his jacket without offering any help. "All right, let's just go have brunch by ourselves. Alicia, take care of the rest." And with that, they left for brunch, leaving me behind. This situation can't continue. If we have a child, I can't raise it with Dustin. After cleaning up, I decided to eat the special breakfast I'd made. It's not bad, if I do say so myself. Sure, it might not be as good as the special breakfast my mother-in-law makes every year, but considering I made it in a rush, it's decent both in taste and appearance. As I sat down to eat, the intercom rang. Who could it be this early in the new year? When I opened the door, I was stunned and decided it was time for a little revenge. 3 days later, I was packing up the last of my things. "All right, this is the final box. All that's left is to talk to my mother-in-law when she gets back." Just then, she stormed in fuming. "You've embarrassed me. What are you going to do about it?" she shouted. "What's the fuss?" "I haven't done anything," I responded calmly. Her face turned red. "The neighbors are laughing at me. They're asking if I'm bullying my son's wife. They heard about the special breakfast. Clear up this misunderstanding right now." "I didn't spread any rumors, but isn't it true?" I retorted, realizing the neighbors had probably been gossiping about the New Year's meal. "And what about Halloween? They think I wasted the treats you made. Now no one will invite me for tea." On New Year's Day, Elisa, a neighborhood leader, had unexpectedly visited me. We typically just exchanged pleasantries, so her concern was surprising. She noticed the tension between me and my mother-in-law and mentioned that she was aware of the unusual arrangement. "It must be tough with your mother-in-law moving in, huh? She's been telling everyone that you and her son suggested living together. But everyone knows Crystal is just a neighbor and you're still young. They sense something's off." Elisa's words lifted my spirits. I hadn't realized how much my intrusive mother-in-law was talking about us outside. When Elisa asked if I had any other stories, I shared the incidents with the special breakfast and Halloween. It seemed my mother-in-law's outrageous behavior had become the talk of the town, and I couldn't be happier. She had brought this on herself. If she continued to complain, worse things might come her way. "Haha, what do you mean by worse?" Elisa laughed. "I've lived in this neighborhood for years. If you cross me, you won't be able to walk outside." My mother-in-law tried to mimic my tone, but then the home phone rang. I answered it and handed it to her. Her face went pale. "What?" "The neighbors are watching a live stream of this room right now." "What's going on?" I showed her my phone, which was propped up on the TV stand. I had been live streaming her bullying tactics using a method Elisa had taught me. "What is this?" She tried to grab the phone from me, but I explained that the footage was already live. About 20 people were watching since it was a holiday. Realizing breaking the phone wouldn't help, she fell to her knees, begging me to stop the stream. I was wrong. I've done terrible things. Please stop the stream. We won't be able to live here if people see this. Ignoring her tearful pleas, I replied, "The one who won't be able to live here is you, not me. I'm staying." She was furious but understood that her exposed bullying meant she could no longer move freely. Her face turned blue as she begged for help. "Then let's all move far away. Don't abandon me." "You're really clueless," I said. "Dustin and I are getting a divorce. You're a stranger now. Please leave within a week." Haha. I packed a box in front of her. "It's trash to me, but I've packed it for you." Yes, the items I was packing were for my mother-in-law and Dustin. I had already discussed the divorce with Dustin the night before, and he had filled out the paperwork without much fuss. I found him an apartment closer to his work, so there was no trouble. Perhaps he thought he didn't need to do housework because his mom was around. From what I heard through the neighborhood network, Dustin and his mother, who had moved to the next town, were having a lot of issues. She was causing a scene at his workplace, demanding to be shown around because she was his mother, which led to rumors about them being an odd mother-son duo. This negatively affected Dustin's chances for promotion and caused him public and private humiliation. I couldn't believe that something like this happened to my former in-laws without me even knowing. I'm grateful to the neighbors who supported me and hope to help others who are being bullied by their in-laws in the future.